What's going on, everybody? Mortem here, this time bringing you 5 things in the Outer Worlds that need to improve either with DLC or the sequel. I just want to preface this whole thing with The Outer Worlds is a great game. It is ultimately a game that was made on a AA budget, which explains why a lot of these things aren't already in the game. So that's not a knock on The Outer Worlds, that's not a dig at them, it's just a fact. It was a AA game. Some of this stuff I'm sure they probably wanted to do and simply couldn't. But because this game, as the publisher actually recently announced, performed above expectations both critically and commercially. So with that in mind, and the fact that Obsidian is now owned by Microsoft, they can be kicked like some serious money their way. So because of that, and just how well this game was received, obviously, these are the top 5 things I want them to focus on. First thing. So getting right into it, number 1, combat. So it's not like the combat feels bad or anything, it's just that it's not as varied as you would like it to be. So on probably like my 4th or 5th playthrough, it occurs to me that like there's only so many ways to approach combat, period. Some of the weapons and things feel different, sure, but they're ultimately kind of the same thing. One thing I personally noticed is like you can get a grenade launcher, but you yourself cannot throw grenades, which was kind of a bummer, because like you wouldn't even need to change the damage types. Like literally all you would need to do is put in the ability to throw the grenade. So I'm curious why that wasn't in there. Some sort of technical problem that prevented that from happening in time or something. Things like throwing grenades or throwing anything really, or different weapon types, like maybe some sort of awesome technological crossbow, like stuff like that. I just kind of want to see more variation. Now again, that's not to say what there is bad. Like there is quite a decent amount there, especially for a game on a AA budget. The combat feels really good, at least to me personally. It's definitely better than Fallout New Vegas, that is for sure. That's probably the number 1 thing for me personally that I want them to address. Second, we have substantial choices. So for the vanilla playthrough of the game at least, there's only 2 or 3 choices that like genuinely impact the world. And what I mean by that is choices that like actually affect how people view and talk to you, whether or not they'll do something for you, period. And like, just genuinely affects like entire towns or anything like that. Honestly, there's only like really 2 or 3 of those. Like, sure, you can make somebody a little angry at you, but they're still going to do everything you want them to do. So it just feels like there's not a lot of weight behind a lot of those things, besides those couple of choices that I mentioned earlier. So it's not like the choice isn't there at all. It just there's not. I don't want to say there's not enough, because obviously there's choices there, but like I definitely want more world-changing choices, I guess would make probably the best way to say it. Third is the initial specialization, because this one's a bit of a tough line to walk. So as you've probably seen in some of my other videos, when you first make a character of any sort, in order to progress your skills, for the first 50 levels in a skill, you actually assign points to a group of skills rather than an individual one. So if you want melee weapons, and you specifically two-handers, then you have to put points up to 50 into both one-handed and two-handed, and then you can specialize. So the problem that creates is that during the early game, you don't really have a specialization. It's all very general in its approach, and that can be good for some people. I think that was probably the smart decision here, because it's going to allow you to bring in new players and things like that. However, it also creates the problem of like your character at the beginning of the game just does not feel unique. Until I get to some of the bigger areas, I just really don't feel like I'm anything outside of just some generic guy. Which again is probably a good way to do it for the newbies, because that lets them kind of get a feel for the whole game before they decide to specialize in something. And ultimately it doesn't take anything away from the people who want to specialize specifically. But my point being is, until a decent way into the game, I just don't feel like I'm specialized in anything at all. And in a game like this, that's just a little strange. So something I thought of that they might be able to do is just scale back the point at which you get to specialize. So instead of doing the 50 points, maybe scale it back to like 30 or 40. That way you can specialize faster, and that'll make a character feel more unique a little earlier. That's one that I kind of want to see more in the sequel than this game. Like, this game is what it is, the original version. So that's not really a change I'd want to see them make in this particular version. But the sequel, I would definitely prefer they scaled that back a little bit. Fourth, we have the heads-up display. Now, part of this is actually being addressed in the patch that is supposed to launch next week, if all goes well, where they're going to increase the font size of Conversations because it is, in fact, a bit small. So the font size on the Conversations is one piece of it, sure, but I'm talking about the entire heads-up display. A lot of it is just real tiny. A lot of the menus have really tiny icons that are kind of hard to see, especially on a 4K monitor, at least for me personally. There's just a lot of things about the heads-up display that I really wish I could move around because they're hard to see. There's no better way to put it. In future games, I really hope they put some amount of heads-up display customizability into the game. And last but not least, oh my god, this game needs third person so bad. It drives me nuts. So this is probably like my biggest genuine complaint about the feel of the game because honestly it's great, but personally when I play games like this I like to pull in and out of third person a lot. So like when I'm exploring and running around in the world, I'll usually run around in third person, and then when I enter either combat or like a small confined area, I'll jump into first person so I can see everything better. But you can only be in first person in this particular iteration, at the very least, because I realize that this is something that honestly kind of bothers me probably more than a lot of people. It's not like the first thing I would address, but geez, I hope they do something about this. I really want some third person. Plus, it's just nice to see your character running around. Alright guys, so there is the 5 things I hope they improve about the Outer Worlds, either in DLC or a sequel. So, with that in mind, I have probably a couple more videos that I want to do for the Outer Worlds. A full review, definitely, which I realize, yes, I'm a little late to the review game, but like, you know, who cares? It's not my thing. People are going to do it much better than me anyway, truth be told. So I might as well do my version of it now that I've played the game the amount I wanted to play it, and have the review be the review that I want it to be, even if it is like super late. There's that, a couple more videos, a review, probably a build at least, maybe 2, but definitely 1 for sure. The second one I'm not so sure about. So that's going to wrap it up, guys. If you liked the video, obviously like, comment, subscribe, all that jazz YouTube always wants you to do. Also, consider hitting that join button down there for the memberships. You get some perks. I get $1. It really helps me out. But honestly, have a great day. Either way, thank you so much for watching.